Yes, hi, and welcome to this beautiful episode where we talk about toxicity in parenting. And I know you'll ask me, but how do parents become toxic? Because all parents are supposed to be critical, they're supposed to be shouting, they're supposed to pull out sandals and kibokos. Like, that is the narrative we have had for the longest time. But again, we want to be able to redefine parenthood and say we can bring the softer versions, we can bring up children with grace, we can bring up children with kindness, and it begins with us, it does not begin with them. So we cannot require them of something that we do not have or something that we have not imparted into them. So it's going to be a lot of ideas from Joweria and Pamela, and I know that it's going to be a beautiful discussion. So join us and let's move together. So some of the conversations that we've been having, part of them being directed to children and what they should be doing, what they should not be doing, and how to approach that. And so many times we feel like we are entitled as parents to speak into their lives, command them, show them what they do, because that is exactly what we are supposed to do. But again, how we do it brings a lot of hurt, a lot of pain sometimes. So there are those that are doing the smallest percentage is actually doing the right thing, and then there's a whole big percentage of us that is doing it the wrong way. But we want to have our needs met, and then we want these kids to be compliant, but we are being toxic, we're being narcissistic, and we're being egocentric while we are doing it. So we want to address that issue, talk about that. I know we can't exhaustively handle it, but again, we will handle the part that we can, and hoping that you can come on this journey with us. Fall in on our social media platforms and tell us, what do you think? What have you done wrong? Are you willing to admit that this is wrong as we go on? So let's laugh and learn, and let's open someone's eyes. And in the studio, I have the beautiful Joweria. She's a mother, and she's a wife. And wow, which generation? The talk of generation now is on my mind. Yeah, she's a millennial. Apparently, I think we have, the world is filled with millennials, because that is the talk. Everywhere. And we're going to have this discussion definitely about parents and being able to bring the points home, because being a mother, I believe that she has a lot in her basket to be able to actually dish out to us. And then we have Pamela. Pam. I was told Pam. Yeah, so Pamela, welcome, and Joweria, welcome. She's a mother as well, and she's a child social worker.
Yes.
Interesting. I wonder how that works, but you will explain to us. So welcome. Let's dive into this conversation. I don't know where that has pained you, or which, but I believe there's a point where you were like, no, this is enough. We've had enough of this. Which point was that? Where this came to your mind vividly about parents being toxic? And
I would mainly use my own experience. When I had kids, now that's when I understood what I went through was
not right.
Toxicity.
Okay.
Yes, and these are things I've put to my mother, and she accepted they were wrong. That's the beautiful part about it.
She admitted?
Yes.
Your mother is a different breed.
She admitted she was wrong.
Other mothers would be like,
no, you don't.
I gave you life. How dare you?
She admitted, and then she put to me her reasons, which in one or the other were valid for her actions.
Okay.
But then I told her, as humans, we got to learn to control ourselves.
Okay.
And as a parent, that's one thing I'm learning to do. Especially when I'm angry, I never beat a child.
Okay.
I never punish a child when I'm angry.
Okay.
Because there, it's hard to control my emotions and the kids' emotions.
Wow. Pam, when did that come to your mind? When did that cross your mind, that actually we have parents that are turning into monsters in their children's lives?
Well, I think it's mainly all my life. I've had a roller coaster of emotions with my parents.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, so when I got to university, I realized probably after mixing up with people and knowing how their lives have been, I maybe compared, and I realized maybe something wasn't right with my upbringing.
Wow.
Was that a wrong thing? No, the parents were doing it the way they knew how to.
Yes.
Right.
The way they know how to.
Right.
And that's exactly, it brings us to where I want us to start this conversation. Where is this coming from? Because everything must have a root, it must have a start. And Yes, we can blame, yes, we can shame, yes, we can talk about all these things, but if we don't know where it's starting from, even the people that are watching us or joining this conversation are never going to identify and say, wait a minute, I've been doing this because of this. And I think you started right when you said because that's how they know how to do it. Because if that's what you know, that's how you're going to do it.
So for starters, I think, in my perspective, I feel like these parents, you can only give what you have. So in this case, they were raised that way, and that is what they know how to give because it's what they have.
1, 2, you bring out a sandal.
Right. Like you don't tell a child twice in their upbringing. You don't get to sit the child down and talk to them and let them know their mistake and not to do it again. So it's more of an action than speech
than an understanding.
Right.
Yes.
So I think it's the background, the upbringing, the awareness, the exposure they got with their parents and maybe grandparents or great-grandparents. So in that case, I feel like they carry on. It's more like a legacy of what they have been given, and so they dump it onto you, knowing they are carrying on what their parent did. And
they think like they are exonerated. It's the right thing to do because that's what, and because our parents are like superheroes in our lives, when they do something, you feel like automatically that's how the world runs. And sometimes when you're a child, you can't compare with other homes. Exactly. So you're thinking, that is how the whole world is moving. So it's until, just like you said, after you give birth, that's when you're like, kumbe I have a choice. I can actually choose different. After you get to campus, you see other people having discussions and their lives seem to be rosy and having a good relationship with their parents. Like, which planet are you from? So, so yeah, the upbringing does a lot of harm. And if we're talking about what, Generation X and baby boomers, you know?
Baby boomers happen to be our parents.
Yes.
Now, these, I would say, these were the first lot of people to join single parenthood. So that's when women felt, okay, I can move out of a marriage and sustain. That's when women were working and they felt they could sustain their lives and their kids. So it gives them entitlement and then they pass it on, but somewhere, somehow, it turns into some big ego that we carry on.
The single parenthood.
Yes.
Okay. So you think it's a huge cause for the toxicity, the breeding place?
It is generational. Yes, it's generational. For example, I'll use my experience because I'm not ashamed about it. I was raised by a single mother with a deadbeat father who is even still alive. But my mother, everything she did, I came to realize is that it's the only way she knew how, and all the anger that came with it. Me, I was raised with a lot of entitlement. It's until I got exposed and I was like, no, my opinion always doesn't have to matter.
Yeah.
Now you meet kids and if it's not their opinion,
then it's nothing.
They will not do it.
Yeah. They walk out of jobs anytime. They walk out of relationships anytime.
Yes.
When they don't have it their way, or when
currently we even have a lot of content we take in that shapes what we think about life.
And they're those very people that are because they have their sense of entitlement. Even on social media, they are entitled.
Yes,
this is my space, so I might as well say anything I want.
So we end up being toxic to our kids or children by passing on the entitlement. We raise selfishly and not selflessly. You raise a child thinking you're going to stay with this child forever. You're going to put this child
You
out.
don't raise them for the world.
Yes, to relate with other children. And
isn't that what we call the smothering? You're holding too tight. You even strangle someone because you're too clingy on them. And I think, the single parenthood has really done that.
Yes. So you find
to
that
the
all
extent
the
you
pain,
feel there is no right woman for your boy.
Exactly. All the pain they go through trying to figure this thing out of single parenthood will give them that too much love, that will give them entitlement. They'll become selfish about their...
And I think when you talk about that, I really relate because as a single parent, you want to make up for the other absent parent.
Yes.
So now you're being the father and the mother, and you are growing. So for those that are soft, they become softer. You know, both extremes are bad.
Yes.
For those that are harsh, are really harsh.
Yes.
Because they're like, he left me, he gave me a responsibility, and now you put it out on the children. Now those that are too soft again are too soft, because then they give you upkeep, then they buy you double things, then they buy you more toys. So that, because they feel they have to cover up for the loss. So a child ends up, that is why you have a 40-year-old that is still begging for handouts from their mother. If the mother does not say we buy land here, he will not buy. So that is the smothering that you were talking about, holding too tight and parenting selfishly, not selflessly. Because when you're teaching a child, I think the right way is to say, and I think my mother used to say that a lot, I cannot move with you everywhere. I will not put you in my pocket and go with you everywhere, but you have your own back. That is a parent who tells you you are responsible for yourself. So what you do out there is on you. Entirely on you. Entirely on you. Instead of saying, I'm going to put you under my armpits, be with me everywhere, don't do anything, don't go anywhere. And what I hear her say is, actually, she has given us two scenarios, the single parenthood and then the era of social media that is teaching us the toxicity, and we don't know that it is. For us, we think we are enjoying.
Actually, to look at that, I attended a certain parenting session at my child's school, and then there is a lady who was facilitating us. She said currently mothers or parents are asking her, in this era where there is a lot of information, we have AI that answers all the questions you want, so they're making life soft and easy. How do we raise kids to be better children? Then she gave us one thing that stuck to my mind. She mentioned about the Star of David. You know the Star of David? The star that is in the flag of Israel. Now, Israelites, when they're raising their kids, every point at that star has a virtue or a value that they impart or they put into their children. There is kindness as the first one. There is harmony. There is royalty in the middle. So they raise their children telling them you're a king, you're a queen. So you must be, this is how we behave. There is perseverance, then there is splendor, there is severity. Like for everything you do, in its severity can be negative. You always have to draw a middle line. Then there is a foundational teaching. They impact these values in all their children, because even in this changing world, a child who is kind will be kind forever. A child who was taught to persevere will be able to persevere through any condition. They will never be entitled. Forever. You get it. A child who wants to live in harmony will never cause havoc. So this is something they are putting into their children. Actually, for them, it's not even putting in. They are drumming it in their minds. So the kindness, I was telling you about Syria, where they would show the children, bring them to the fence and tell them, you know what, the people that killed your parents are the other. They are showing them a different country, because now they want to be able to groom these children without fear, to have the courage to actually attack and be able to kill. So you see that indoctrination, people have been told when you killed people, you go to Jannah. I mean, you get Jannah. So the indoctrination, but yes. Both of us know more about that. I know. But when you talk about these values, for me it's mind-blowing, because if you have the right values and you have them written down, you have them recited, you have them as in it's a daily thing for someone to think about them, then they have no choice but to actually act them out. A child grows up knowing, I am a queen, I am a king. Kings are not entitled, everything comes to them. They must be diplomatic. Yes. I have to persevere. She said, every time your kid cries and you try, it cries for something, and you be like, you are breeding some entitled child who is going to become a problem to the other children. I can have it my way. I can have anything I want. Yes. Wow. And currently, because we've lost touch on these values, that is where the toxicity comes from. You see, the parents that are toxic now didn't wake up to be. They were raised to be, but unknowing, because their parents, that's the only way they knew how to parent.